600 wins, 6 Georgia State championships, 16 regional championships, 2-time National Coach of the Year, first team from Georgia to win the City of Palms Classic, the nation's #1 high school tournament, first team in Georgia history to attend the Dick's Sporting Goods National Tournament of Championships. He's produced numerous NBA players and professional basketball players all over the world. It's real basketball talk. It's real help and real life with Coach Doug Lipscomb on the BG Podcast Network. Real Life Basketball is brought to you by the all-new 2018 K900 at Carriage Kia of Woodstock and Gainesville. Buy your new K900 from Carriage Kia and we'll fly you in or come pick you up for delivery. Visit CarriageKia.com 24/7, 365 days a year. For America's best deal on the K900, call Chris Stanford directly at 1-866-333-2122. That's 1-866-333-2122.
And welcome once again to Real Life Basketball. Darren Sutherland and the coach, the legend, Doug Lipscomb. Douglas Lipscomb.
Hey.
Can I say that, Doug?
Yes.
Doug. Hey, let me ask you this, Coach, and good to be back, by the way. It's good to be back. I was gone last show, out traveling, having fun, doing all kind of stuff, and Nick did a pretty good job, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
He stepped in and did a real good job. And did all that fun stuff, and I come back, and man, he's going to take my job up. Doug, before we get in with our guest today, and we got DeQuan Jones coming up this afternoon to talk to, a lot of information broke this weekend on the NCAA investigation, and 20 schools named, multiple players named. Sean Miller basically is out as the coach. They said he didn't coach this weekend for Arizona, but for all intents and purposes, they've got him on wiretap talking about the big guy over there, paid him $100,000 or siphoning $100,000. Yahoo Sports identifies people that you probably know personally, from different accolades and What's your? I want to get your reaction and your thought on the situation and what you're thinking and I want to know the coach's perspective. Then I'm going to tell you my perspective and what I'm thinking on this thing.
Well, from a person being on the outside, I would say it's sad that the NCAA has to do things like this. I don't think it helps anyone. In fact, if you start going toward one and done, if the kids didn't go to college right now, they would be making that type of money in the NBA or the G League. I ain't saying they would be making that the max, but maybe some people are just ahead of time and saying these kids should be paid off. They've already said that in the past, and I have issues with the NCAA.
You know what? I think we all have issues with NCAA. I'm going to say this right here. And my comments today reflect Darren Sutherland. They don't reflect Coach Doug. He may or may not disagree with me. I'm not going to ask him to agree or disagree with me. But I'm going to say this right here, Doug, and you can chime in if you want to, or you can say, well, no, I'm not going to make no comment. But here's what I'm going to say, okay? Number one, we got a school shooting going on in Florida, where the FBI knew about it, knew the shooter had already made. And Nick, time out just a second. Am I getting feedback like crazy?
I can turn that down.
Okay.
It's right there.
Are you monitoring where you can hear this stuff?
Yeah.
Because I don't want us to get on the air and sound awful.
No, you sound great.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
What was that for?
Let's start back in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Doug, I'm going to say this, and you can agree with me, you can not agree with me. Listeners can agree with me, they can not agree with me. But here's the way I kind of look at it. In the United States of America right now, you've got the FBI investigating the NCAA. Total waste of money. Total waste of money. We got a kid in Florida. They spend more time on this investigation than we do a school shooting down in Florida where the kid made notice on social media, told people, I'm going to shoot somebody, I'm going to kill somebody, and we got 17 kids dead, and they worried about a kid getting paid $50,000 to play college basketball, knowing it's always went on. It's always gone on, okay? Maybe not to the extent, okay? Then you have the NCAA in particular, bastardizing it. And I'm going to say these words right here, and I don't think I've ever called a situation racist, but I'm going to call it like it is. It's racist. And the fact that the NCAA will allow a child who plays hockey to have an agent, okay? They will allow a kid to get drafted in hockey or in baseball.
Right.
And in hockey, they can even, baseball, they can allow him to get drafted and decide whether he wants to come back or not without declaring eligibility. It's racist, Doug. It's wrong. The only reason they do it, and I'm going to tell you this, the only reason they do it is because baseball and hockey doesn't bring in the money football and basketball does. And if it wasn't for that money that football and basketball brought in, basketball is what we're talking about today, so we'll solo back on in. If it wasn't for that money that Bagley brought in, Drayton brought in, Colin Sexton brought in, Trey Young brought in, Wendell Carter brought in, all these other kids brought in, little Sally wouldn't be able to play soccer or volleyball for that college. And that is the truth. It's where it is. And you know what? It sucks. It's a racist system. It is the most racist system in the world. We can't let the black kids go make millions of dollars, okay? Because that's wrong for college basketball. But the white kids, they can play their baseball and go to the minor leagues, and we can pat them on the back. And it's been done before. Kid will sign straight out of high school, get $3 million. Everybody, you know what? He should do that. Black kid, 6'11", can play NBA-style basketball. He wants to go straight to the pros. Oh, we can't do that. We can't do that. That's wrong. We need to give him an education. Well, the education I've learned in life is what you make. Because you put somebody in whatever he does with his money, that's his business. Hopefully he puts good guys around him. Doug, you're around me enough. You've been in public places with me where I know young men who've been able to do this just like you have. Not just only in the sport of basketball, but baseball. And football and other sports. Mm-hmm. If you put the right people around you and you surround yourself right when you're young, you can make good decisions, okay? Right. They're bastardizing these kids, okay?
Yes.
And for those of you that don't think that Coach K, as great as he is, doesn't have some incredible influence, I've heard this more than once, and I'm not throwing off on the Duke program. But I've heard refs won't even say anything back to him because of the power he yields in the NCAA and USA basketball. And sit behind him on a bench. Ask somebody. This stuff is crazy. This stuff is crazy. And I don't know what the solution is, but I'm going to tell you what I think. I like what's his name? What's the kid that used to play for Michigan? Derek, what's his name? Jalen Rose. Jalen Rose said this weekend, if I was those kids, I'd boycott the tournament. What happens if Mr. Bagley says, Duke, I'm not playing in the tournament. I'm quitting. I'm quitting school tomorrow. What happens if Colin Sexton says, is it going to affect their draft status? No. It ain't going to affect it. Trey Young said, I'm not playing in the tournament. Maybe you didn't want to hear that today, but, Coach, I just had to get that off my mind because it is what it is. I had a son that played college football. Let me tell you something. College athletics is the plantation system of 2018, and y'all call it what you want. May not agree with me, and y'all may say I'm crazy. You say that redneck don't know what he's talking about, but, Coach, it is what it is.
It is, and I think you hit something right on the head. It's not only in college, it's in the pros too.
Yeah.
So let's don't let's don't try to cover it up, But I think basketball has really changed to the point of where when I was playing to then when I got to start coaching. It's amazing these guys that always were against one and done, and now all of a sudden every year they're getting these kids on their teams. There are coaches in the ACC that I won't name, but their format was they always ask the question, does this kid come from a two-parent home? And, quite honestly, what the hell does that matter?
Yeah.
So, but that was one of their criteria. That's the first question that they ask. So I kind of like scratched them off from the get-go, right from the start. I mean, because then if it's going to be a problem with how many parents you got, then it's going to be a problem with we can't feed him. That's next.
Yeah.
We can't give him any money. And you're sitting there making over $1 million a year.
I like what you said one time to me. You said this, if a college can allow a plane trip, a hotel, and a meal for a parent to come watch their own kid play, that kid don't need to go to that college.
He doesn't. No.
There's no if a poor kid from the west side of Atlanta gets recruited by Kansas, and the kid, God forbid, I don't care if he comes from the projects of West Atlanta or the mountains of Northeast Georgia and he's a white kid, if they can't afford for that parent to fly to somewhere like Kansas or to USC or to Washington or wherever to watch that kid play, put them up in I'm not saying put them up in the Ritz, put them in the, Hampton Inn. Feed them a decent meal. Feed them a Shoney's. Feed them, you know what I'm saying, Coach.
Right.
Don't treat them like, if they can't afford that and a seat at the game, they ain't got no business recruiting.
Oh, I got one that I love, and I want everybody to pay attention to this one right here. Okay, before the beginning of the season, NCAA was all over Bruce Pearl.
Yeah.
Like they're going to tear him a new butt, all right? So he said, I don't want to talk to y'all, and he didn't. They got rid of one of his better players, and now
Austin Wiley.
he is playing very well in the SEC, and he's a candidate for the Coach of the Year. Now, I want to ask you this. What in the world do you think they're going to do if this guy is the Coach of the Year, and then you want to try to put him in jail and take his job?
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's see. In the investigation of the FBI, these schools have been named. Kentucky. How much money's brought in from Kentucky basketball?
It supports the state of Kentucky.
All right. Duke.
Yes.
It supports one of the top private institutions in the world, not just in the country, in the world. It's a top 5 marketing name in all of college sports. North Carolina. Tar Heel Blue runs rampant. You can't go into Lenox Square without seeing somebody with a Tar Heel shirt on in Atlanta, Georgia. Mm-hmm. Kansas. Right there. Who else was? There was 5 of them. Right.
Arizona.
Arizona was another one. I mean, and then you had schools like Alabama, South Carolina, Clemson named, on and on, all the way down. Is the NCAA, if they're all named, and to me, the FBI paperwork means more than an NCAA investigation's ever meant. But this is a federal government.
Yes.
And remember, these are federal officers making minimum, guys. This is minimum, making $85,000, $150,000 a year doing this investigation. To say little Johnny got paid $12,000 by NC State by a trainer, okay? By a trainer. Now, truth of the matter is, let's just take this thing home real quick just a second, Doug. And I'm not going to name names. I mean, anybody can go to Yahoo Investigation and read it. Our buddy Colin Sexton, okay?
Yes.
They named him in it, okay? They named his alleged trainer in it, which we could pick up the phone. I ain't even brought this up to you, but you probably got the man's phone number in your phone, okay? You know what? And George is a good friend of mine, and George wasn't named in the thing. Okay, right. Coach George wasn't named. But somebody George is close to was named in the article. Okay? Yeah. If the FBI's got time to do this, why in God's name don't the FBI got time to go down there to Florida and pull that kid that shot 17 kids in a high school in the head? And yeah, I'm getting a little bit emotional over it. It just aggravates me that we got 17 dead, and meanwhile the FBI is worried about if Colin Sexton and his mom and daddy got $20,000, when in truth it probably cost Colin Sexton's mom and daddy, regardless of Colin getting a scholarship, regardless, it probably cost them $20,000 to feed and clothe and go see their son play at the University of Alabama in Tuscaloosa, and that's not even going to away games, Doug.
No.
And they eating Arby's out of a bag on the way.
But get this. Here's the deal. Alabama suspended him for that, a game where there was allegedly that he did A, B, C, and D. So in Alabama's eyes, they punished him. It should be done with. And, I mean, because if you really want to get down to the nuts and bolts, I mean, what you do for one of your players, it should be between you and that family. But what has really gotten me upset, I posted something yesterday and it was just as simple. Those guys that are going to be punished or are in the process of being punished, their colleagues that they've eaten with, laughed with, joked with, those are people that are trying to throw some of these guys under the bus. And I saw that last week, and it kind of ticked me off. That's a nice way of saying it. Ticked me off because, hell, you're pointing the finger at them like you're innocent. Okay. But none of us are. Totally innocent. No, none of us are. So my point is, and I also added that as soon as you're fired, they're going to be number one or number two in line trying to get your job. So know that it's coming. And then I just feel bad for the families.
How many of us, okay, let me ask you this, real world, how many of us have went and ate dinner with a vendor through our job, and the vendor picked up the bill? You follow what I'm saying?
Most definitely.
Happens to me all the time. I got a guy upstairs that every time a vendor takes us out to eat, he asks for more. Okay? I mean, come on. This is 2018. We know it goes on. They ain't nobody stupid out there. When they're selling, I asked a NFL football player, which I'm very close to, and you know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to mention his name.
Right.
Okay, and you know how close I am to this fellow. I said, how does it make you feel when you see your university use your number and they put everything on that jersey but your last name, and you see how much they said? He said, my people gave me an estimate that they have sold $65 million worth of paraphernalia with my college number on it. How much you receive from that? Now, this is a football player, folks. Yeah. How much you receive from that? You know what he said, Doug? Zero. I said, how much have you gave the university? Probably about 10% of that. That's after he graduated and left. He gave it back. 10% he's given back. So he's given back close to $6 million. But yet the university's using him for 65. And for those of you that say, oh, he got a free education, kiss my ass. Yep. Kiss my ass. And you know what? I'm a Christian, man. I shouldn't even be talking like that. Lord knows better than that. But it's a racist system. It's a wrong system. And let me tell you something. Let me say this, okay? If, Doug, I'm going to call it like it is. Maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I'm going too far with this. But if these dudes would do what Jalen Rose said, if black coaches and black athletes would step up and say, no more, we're not doing this. No more, we're going to do this. What's the NCAA going to do? What are they going to do?
Hey, they're going to find a way to make money. That's the sole purpose.
Yeah.
That's why it's benefiting them for the kids to not go straight to the pros out of high school.
Something's going to change.
Yeah.
You know, you know what? FBI, do your investigation. You guys do a good job. You're doing what you're supposed to. Who knows, Doug? Maybe this is Trump's way of cleaning something up.
Hey. Well, don't get me started, because then I know you're going to go off about that wall. Like, who going to build the wall,
By God.
The people that he's trying to keep out, right?
They are. I done figured this out. Here's how he's going to figure out how to build the wall. Let me tell you this right here. You brought the wall up, so I'm going to throw it out.
I know. We went from
I'm going to tell you this right here.
to trump the wall.
I figured this out. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's all a big thing. They're going to build the wall. And Trump said Mexico going to pay for it. You know how Mexico's going to pay for it? Because they're going to build the wall on the Mexican side so they don't have to pay insurance. They don't have to pay OSHA. They don't have to pay none of them federal laws to get the wall built. If over in Mexico, they can just build it any old way. Somebody falls off the wall and hurts himself, ain't no workers' comp worrying about him. So, in essence, he got the wall built by Mexico. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Even though there's Americans over it. But anyway, we won't go there. But, Doug, it just pains me to see these young men. And you say, well, Darren, what are you talking about? I wouldn't care if the kid was a white kid, a Chinese kid from Europe, whatever. If they're good enough to put a pair of shorts on and lace a pair of sneakers up and play in the NBA, that's where we want to see the best come from.
No doubt. Mm-hmm.
Let me ask you this. Doug, think about this. The coach up there at Lincoln High School, what's his name? We had him on a couple weeks ago.
Tiny, great guy.
Yeah. He said this about the NBA. He said it's a business.
Definitely.
It's a business. The shoe companies got enough power, but they still can't control the NBA with all the money the shoe companies make. So it's going to come to a head. If they do it for the hockey kids, if they do it for the baseball kids, if they do it for the tennis kids, and they do it for the golf kids, and let's just call it what it is. Of those four sports right there, what's the racial makeup? Nick, I'm going to ask you. You're the producer. You ain't been in on this conversation. What's the racial makeup? You're a 24?
24, 25 on Friday.
Be 25 on Friday.
Watch out.
A 25-year-old college student at Georgia State University. Before that was at Alabama. You work in marketing, you work in sports and communications at school. Off the top of your head, what is the primary demographic of baseball, college athletes, hockey, college athletes, tennis, college athletes, and golf, college athletes? Nick?
White.
To the percentage of about what?
90%.
90%. Coach, I'm going to ask you this question.
Hold on. Right. Before you say that, I can't say his numbers are wrong because I don't have the facts in front of me. But don't forget that the Puerto Rican kids, the Brazilian kids, the Cuban kids are also in this system, this meat market, where people have gone over there and got them for the, as the kids would say, for the low, and bringing them back over here.
Yeah, for baseball.
So, yeah.
They do the same thing. Now, Coach, I'm going to ask you this. No offense. You know this. You know my heart. This is just off the top of your head. We ain't even looking at statistics. Nick gave me 90% numbers. We don't know that those numbers are correct. That's just what he sees. That's perception. Yeah. And my grandmama taught me a long, long time ago, perception is usually reality a lot of times.
In somebody's head, for sure.
Okay. What percentage of scholarship athletes playing basketball at the big school level, okay? I'm not talking, you know what, Kennesaw State, you know what, I'm not talking about you guys right now.
It's the same.
I'm talking SEC, ACC. What would you say African-American kids playing basketball are? ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big East, Pac-10, Big 12. What percentage would you say?
Well, when you start talking about Big East, Pac-10, Pac-12, a little different. But I'm going to tell you, I think the majority of I'd have to give them at least 92%.
African-American?
Yes.
Bingo. So, football. Okay. Nick, football. What percentage of it is African-American?
Probably 60 to 70%.
60 to 70%. Coach Doug?
75. Look at Alabama.
75.
Yeah.
Hey, I want the best out there. If I'm coaching, I don't care if I'm white or black. Bruce Pearl don't care if his center's white from the Ukraine. Bruce Pearl wants to win a ball game. So Bruce Pearl's putting a winning kid. Coach, would you have cared if they gave you a Slovenian kid? If you'd have had Georgia Petrovic, the Yugoslavian kid, come to Wheeler High School, would you have cared less if he was white or yellow or blue?
Not at all.
Would you, if Yao Ming would have showed up at Wheeler High School, would you have suited him up?
What's up, y'all?
That's that. That's right. They care about winning. So the NCAA going to pick on football and basketball, by God. But you know what? Let's don't touch golf. Oh, we got Tiger Woods. Let's don't touch hockey. We got the kid up there in Nashville Predators. Let's don't touch baseball. Oh, we got Hank Aaron and Jackie Robinson. You know, let's just keep it real. Y'all understand what I'm saying? I'm not, Nick, you know me personally. Doug, you know me personally. I don't go off on this stuff much. They letting men go down there and shoot people, and then they worried about daggum college kids getting, if they got $20,000 to come to school there. I promise you, going to see my son playing college football at a Division II school in North Carolina cost me every bit of $7,000-8,000 a year just to go watch him play. And you say, well, man, you must have stayed at a nice place. No. Doug, I got in a car in Atlanta. I drove to Hickory, North Carolina, 300 miles. You figure that 52 cents a mile. And back 600 miles, 52 cents a mile. You're talking about 3 mile meals that day, 3 mile meals on the way home, a hotel. You're talking about a Coca-Cola and a hot dog at the ball game. Tell me that ain't $10,000 in a year to go to 10 ball games.
Oh, it's great. That's where people are saying, and it's honest, it's a business. It's definitely a business.
It's a business.
But when you last but not least, that investigation with Patino, where they said he was bringing over $168 million to that facility or to that school, that university, $100,000 is nothing compared to that number.
Yum Brands, the biggest brand in Louisville, Kentucky. There's 2 big brands in Louisville's headquarters. UPS got a huge fleet there, and Yum Brands. Yum owns Taco Bell, KFC, and Pizza Hut. They're headquartered in Louisville. They're sponsoring it. It's called the Yum Center, where Louisville plays. You tell me they ain't spending $100,000 in sponsorship money. And who's getting it? Hey, we got to quit talking about that. You've heard our spiel. Coach, I usually don't get riled up like that. But we need to talk to one of you. We're going online now to talk to one of your former players, DeQuan Jones. Tell us a little bit about DeQuan before we get him on the air.
He's a super person, very hard-working young man. And it was a pleasure to have him on my team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Played at the University of Miami.
Yes.
Let's go to the Carriage Automotive line and talk to our buddy, DeQuan Jones.
Come see the Carriage family and experience the Carriage difference.
Kia is keeping it real with the all-new 2018 K900. Drive the car LeBron James drives and other NBA players call their preferred vehicle of choice. And right now, Carriage Kia of Woodstock and Gainesville has your new K900 ready for delivery. Go online, handle everything, then upon completion, we will fly you in to pick up your new K900 or deliver it directly to you. Call Chris Stanford directly at 1-866-333-2122. That's 1-866-333-2122. Ask for Chris Stanford. Carriage Kia, 24/7, 365 days a year at carriagekia.com.
Come see the Carriage family and experience the Carriage difference.
And welcome back to Real Life Basketball on the Carriage Automotive Group Skype line. We've got our buddy DeQuan Jones. DeQuan, how you doing, my friend?
I'm pretty well. I'm honored to be featured, and I appreciate the opportunity to use the platform.
Well, DeQuan, you said before the interview you listen to most of our episodes, and we thank you for that. I hope you Twitter them out and tell all your boys, hey, listen to Coach Doug and Darren, because we try to keep it real on Real Life Basketball. So if you listen to all our episodes, you know the first question I'm going to ask doesn't – well, Doug actually wrote this one down this time for you. And I'm not going to – for me, it's always the first question I ask. And truth of the matter is I wasn't here for our last show, and that's the one I really probably should have asked the truth when he had the old coach on. But I'm gonna ask you this, DeQuan.
He was with the Amigos, man.
I was with the Amigos. It's the Amigos.
The Amigos, yeah.
Not the Amigos, man.
Okay.
Don't tell them how old we are. Damn. These bunch of 40 and 50-year-old men calling them Amigos. Amigos.
Cooking it up. No, I'm just
Amigos, that's right. We was eating some of them rap chips is what we was doing. You know? Hey, DeQuan, tell me, and keep it real, all right? Tell me something I don't know about Coach Lipscomb. Tell me something that you love about him. Tell me something that the general public don't know about him. Tell us about how it was to play for Coach Doug.
Well, I mean, to start it off, I love Coach. Coach is a part of my family. One thing that comes to mind, I'm an old man now, so I graduated in 2008. But one thing I remember about Coach is he always had his toes out. All year round, he would wear sandals. If it was January, if it was March, April, he always had his toes exposed to the elements. But
did he take care of his toes? That's the question.
I mean, yeah, he was always picking and fiddling with them in his office.
Lord.
Every time I would walk in, he was always picking and fiddling with them. So I guess that's a sign that he took pretty good care of them.
Yeah.
Nice. So from Sharif, we hear that he's a ping pong player. Okay. From DeQuan, from DeQuan, we hear he wears sandals all the time.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting little stuff over and over and over and over. So I'm building something on Coach where I can hold it against him in times coming up. Hey, DeQuan, tell us about playing at Wheeler High School and your experience at Wheeler High School.
My experience at Wheeler High School, I think it shaped my life. And I say that because as I've gotten older and I've experienced basketball around the world, I now see the foundation and the virtues that were instilled in us at Wheeler that are applicable, now in our adult life. And I think we were so ahead of our time. Well, Coach was so ahead of his time with his approach to the game. I think at Wheeler we really learned how to be professionals. And like I go to schools and I talk to high school, middle school kids, and I ask them what's their definition of being a professional. And the true definition is being able to perform at a high level regardless of what's going on in your life, regardless of how you feel that day, regardless of, outside circumstances. And, I think Wheeler High School taught us that. And just our mental approach to the game that we, Coach instilled in us a no-nonsense approach to the game. One thing that always rings off in my head, we were a powerhouse. We were a dominant team, and we would go up 30, 40 points. And Coach would tell you sometimes he would have to reel us back in because we would, try to make home run plays or kind of get flashy. And Coach used to always say, "Hey, man, don't mess with the game." I'm giving you the G-rated version, but Coach would always say, respect the game, don't mess with the game. So in that aspect, he taught us how to be professionals and how to play the game the right way, and also and I think the residual of that was we were good people off the court.
DeQuan, in high school, give me a shout out. Give a player a shout out that you really look forward to playing when you were at Wheeler in high school, and when you saw the opponent coming up, you said, "Man, I can't wait to play this kid," or "I can't wait to suit up against him." Tell me somebody in the state or nationally that you faced while you were at Wheeler that you just remember to this day, and maybe they took you to school that day. I don't know, but tell me somebody.
Somebody I couldn't. I would say John Wall. My senior year, we played. Coach, you remember that?
Coach started laughing over here.
Go ahead.
We played Cal on Friday night. Cal was they were low as far as ranked in our conference, or in our region. But we played Cal that Friday night, and then we bussed to Raleigh that night after the game and played Word of God, which was John Wall's team at the moment. And I just remember John was like a top 5 recruit, and it was John Wall at the time, so he had all of the Ball is Life or the Hoop mixtapes, and I would always watch him on the internet, and it was just fun, and I marked that on my calendar to play against him.
How'd you do that night?
I think we did pretty well. One of my dunks went viral on YouTube. Of course, social media wasn't as big as it is now, but one of the dunks went viral, and we ended up winning that game. So I would count it as a success.
Yeah, let me chime in on that one. It was like DeQuan just took the ball and started dribbling down the court and looked like they were trying to back up. And John Walls just happened to be standing in the middle, and then it looked like he went, oh, shit, because DeQuan took off, and he was still trying to back up. And when DeQuan finished it, people on the sideline just started running, including the coach. Yeah, because they were running out of the gym, up the stairs and everything. And, it was like drop the mic, on that one.
Boom.
Yep. But let me go back. The reason I coached you guys that way was because when I first got to Wheeler, I don't even know how to explain it nicely. I just like say this. Teams look forward to playing us because I know we were like the homecoming game schedule. We was the senior night game schedule. And usually senior night would be at the end of the season. Hey, they had us up there early in the season because they wanted that win or that homecoming game.
Osborne had you singing that.
So when these guys got there, and I said, okay, I remember that, but at the same time, I got to get you prepared for the next level. But I'm going to tell you one thing that really sticks out in my mind about this kid. If they needed a ride to practice, they'll call me early. And I'll swing by and get them. Well, I didn't have a phone call that day, and it was a Saturday. So I was on my way to the gym, and I see this kid is running. And I'm like, who's that jogging today? And I got up there by, I rolled down my window, and I said, hey, DeQuan, you want to ride on track? He was like, no, go ahead, coach. And I thought right then it was just one of them moments where I said, that kid is going to be successful. I don't care if he's going to be a lawyer or a doctor or whatever. He's going to be successful because he has a work ethic. And I was so proud that, you're doing that. Your mom is a great lady, and you're making her proud of you. You're not doing any dumb stuff. Let's just leave it like that, or silly stuff. But, that made me feel so good to see you putting in that effort like that. I'll never forget, I always say this when I see you. We were at City of Palms. No, excuse me. Beach Ball.
No, Beach Ball.
And DeQuan would walk into the gym and the kids would just go crazy. Well, he did something one night and the announcer said, now, DeQuan Jones, and that's what the Beach Ball Classic is all about. I said that. Another drop the mic. But what I want you to do is explain to me, to the people that are listening, how did high school basketball and AAU help you prepare for college?
I think, it goes back to what you were saying, Coach. We never really, the mindset you instilled in us was we weren't practicing to be successful at that level. You would always preach, like, I remember you would always tell me, DJ, work on your jump shot. And I'm like, Coach, I don't need a jump shot if I could just drive to the lane and jump over everybody. And you would always say, when you get to college, the guys are going to be bigger, faster, stronger. But again, I think that just goes to show how forward thinking you were, because you knew that if we worked towards the next level, then the level that we were at would take care of itself. And I think you prepared us in a way because you put a big emphasis on academics as well. It's easy for a lot of coaches to have talent and for them to rely strictly on that talent. It takes an extra effort as a coach to make sure that they're great people, to make sure that academically they're sound. But I think I always call it Wheeler University because you and the staff did a great job with tying everything in. So it made the transition, to college a lot easier. And myself, I went to the University of Miami, an 18-year-old in Miami. For some, that's a recipe for disaster. But I think the discipline you instilled in me at the high school level, it really deterred me from getting into a lot of stuff at Miami. So I think that really made the segue and the transition easy.
Okay. Let me go ahead and make a statement. Without Desmond Eastman helping you in our program at that time when you came through, none of this would be possible. Because he drilled your tail off in there, and then you worked on your game for yourself. But moving on to the next question now, I want you to answer this question: What made you pick Miami, University of Miami?
Well, it ain't hard to get an 18-year-old to commit to Miami. Nah, I'm just joking. At the time, I had a long-time mentor in Coach Lawson Bowman. Yeah. God rest his soul. He was, somewhat of a father figure, an uncle figure for me while I was in Stone Mountain. I grew up in Stone Mountain, Georgia. It's a small suburb on the east side of Atlanta. And he pretty much kept me out of trouble. He was, I don't know how familiar you are with Mike Tyson, but he was the customado to me, pretty much.
Yeah.
Right.
And I went to the 5-star camp in 9th or 10th grade, and it was a coach there from James Madison by the name of Jake Morton. And Jake Morton was friends with my long-term mentor. And, he came and watched me. My mentor was like, Jake, I got a kid. He's pretty good. Keep an eye on him. And I met Coach Morton at 5-star, and Coach Morton was like, look, I'm going to just be frank with you. You're too good to play at James Madison. If another job opportunity presents itself, and if I move up, so to speak, then, I'll give you a call. So Coach Morton took a job that 2 years later at University of Miami. So when it was time to open my recruitment up, Coach Morton came to me and was like, look, we're in the ACC, we're in a power conference, your athletic wing, your guys in your position, your skill set flourish in this system and in this conference, and I took a visit and the rest was history.
DeQuan, you had a great career down there at Miami, and I'm gonna touch on this. And the folks, it's let me just ask you this, and we'll go here if you want to, and if you don't, we can edit the whole thing out. Do you want to say anything about your suspension or anything like that with the NCAA and all that kind of good stuff during I think it was your senior year when you were down there at school? Mm-hmm. What happened? Can you give me an outline of what happened?
Well, what happened is a guy who was criminally indicted for money laundering and Ponzi schemes and everything else. He was frustrated at the university. Allegedly, he had helped some athletes through the course of their college career, whatever happened during his case, and he pretty much went at the university, tried to get the university the death penalty. So in his indictment, in his reports, and being interviewed from Yahoo Sports to ESPN, CNN, he made a statement that he had given my previous college coach $10,000 to secure my recruitment in 2007. Well, I signed my letter of intent in 2008. I'm sorry, it was the other way around. He gave them, allegedly, $10,000 to secure my recruitment in 2008. I signed my letter of intent in 2007. Now, in that report, he stated, I've never met the kid. I don't know what he looks like. I never met anybody from his family, the representatives. The money was exchanged from me to this other person, right? So the report comes, everybody's in hoopla, and the school decides that they're going to suspend me for my entire senior year. Mind you, this guy's going on record stating, like, I've never met the kid, never met anybody from his family. But the school and the NCAA decided that it's best that I sit out my entire senior year. Now, I had been on the draft board for all 4 years. I was a top 20 recruit. Mm-hmm. So I've been on the draft board. Imagine how that hurts my draft stock. But not only that, the how it tarnishes, my legacy and my name.
Right.
So I wasn't happy with it. I hired an attorney, and I had already sat out 10 games. I hired an attorney, and pretty much countersued. And within a week, 2 weeks, or something like that, I was cleared to play.
Reinstated.
But I was reinstated.
DeQuan, being totally transparent with our listening base, right now you're playing in the G League for the Fort Wayne Mad Ants, correct?
Correct.
And the G League is owned and operated totally by the NBA, correct?
That is correct.
Who is Fort Wayne a minor league team of? Which team? Do they have
I'm sorry.
I said who? I don't know. I don't understand the total affiliation thing, like in the G League yet. With is Fort Wayne a minor league team of a specific NBA franchise, or is it just overall minor league team?
Yes, it's a minor league team to the Indiana Pacers.
Okay, let's go back to college. And anybody that's listening to this show today heard me go off. And I'm going. You said at the beginning of the show you're an old man. Why did you say you were an old man right now? Let me ask you that.
Well, I mean, experiences. I think experiences grow you up faster, and
right.
I've experienced, so much in this basketball journey with playing abroad. I played in Italy, France, Japan. I played in the NBA. I played in the G League. So, I mean, I've experienced a lot. So, mentally, I feel like an old man.
I ask you that question for this question here, okay? And again, if you don't want to answer it, we can stop, okay? Mm-hmm. Let's not name names, but we all know the top 5 picks probably coming in the NBA draft are freshmen in high school. I mean, freshmen in college, okay? DeQuan Jones, you've played NBA, you've played internationally, you've played G League. Should these kids get paid to play in college, or should they be allowed to go straight from high school to the pros if they're good enough? What's your thought?
I think that should they choose to go professionally after. Well, first of all, let's speak numbers, so to speak. So, the NCAA signed a deal with CBS and Turner Broadcasting for $10.8 billion.
Yeah, that's with a B, folks. With a B, folks, not with an M.
That's with a B. Not to mention, and this is just for the NCAA tournament. Not to mention the conference primetime conference game, the advertisement dollars for commercials for the Duke Carolina game. So I feel like there is no excuse for college players not to be compensated for their work, pretty much. But also, I can also see the racial undertones in this whole scenario. I don't think it's coincidental that the major revenue-generating sports require kids to go to college for 1 year, or football. In football's case, 3 years. These sports are basketball, football. These are sports predominantly played by people of color. But other non-revenue generating sports, gymnastics, tennis, they can go professional at 15, 16 years old. So I can see both sides, but I feel like should a player, choose to go the college route, I feel like they should be fairly compensated.
DeQuan, you were at Miami, which has always been a baseball powerhouse. Did the basketball and football players know that these guys were going to get drafted and these guys were going to get paid while they were still in college, and these guys were even represented by agents? Did y'all know that at that point? I mean, it was legal for them in the NCAA, and the rules are a little bit different for baseball and hockey players. Were you guys aware of that at that point? Did they educate you guys on that stuff?
No. To be honest with you, I had one class with one baseball player. Like, we didn't even see the baseball players on campus. Well, I can't say I'm speaking from my personal experience. Like, a baseball player on campus to me was like a unicorn. You know what I mean? Like you rarely seen them. But again, when at that age we weren't informed of that. We just thought it was an even playing field, and agents were far-fetched, and we couldn't deal with them.
DeQuan, I'm going to ask you this, because when you hear my dialogue before this show, it'll go along with this question here, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go back to your college days. Tennis, of the players that you witnessed firsthand, tennis, baseball, golf, what percentage of those players were African-American, do you think?
A very, very small percent. I would say maybe 20 to 25%, and that's being generous.
That's what I'm thinking. Okay, now let's flip it over. Let's flip it over. Revenue-generating sports of football and basketball, what percentage was represented by African-American athletes? How many white kids do you have on your basketball team? Well, let's just call it like it is and not be unpolitical. I'm a white country dude. You know what I'm saying? How many white dudes do you have on your basketball team?
And this is real talk.
Real talk. Scholarship guys. I'm not talking about the ones like Nick's daddy who went to Miami and is a big donor, so he got Nick on the team. I'm talking about ones that y'all knew belonged there.
I would probably say two in my 4 years.
2 in your 4 years. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Football. Okay. Other than offensive linemen, or maybe a quarterback.
Yep.
Offensive lineman or quarterback.
Yeah.
How many white kids played for University of Miami in your 4 years that you remember that were ballers? Because see, athletes know athletes no matter what sport they're in.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Very few. I would go on a limb and say maybe 6.
Yeah.
Maybe
6 or 7.
So,
yeah.
Me saying this ain't DeQuan saying this ain't Coach saying this. It's a plantation system of 2000 of the 21st century. Is it not?
Absolutely.
Because guess what?
Absolutely.
DeQuan Jones was playing basketball for Miami, so them pretty white girls could play volleyball and travel to Syracuse, because nobody was going to watch volleyball games, was they?
He was. No, I'm sorry. My bad.
You get where I'm going? Nobody was going out. Nobody was going out to watch the soccer games. Nobody was going out to watch rugby or field hockey or wrestling. DeQuan Jones, on his back and his sweat, was paying for 10 other kids to play sports in college. Am I keeping it real?
Yes, sir.
Do you feel you was used?
Yeah, and again, being at that age and being misinformed, I think contributed to that. But now that I'm older and I actually see the world for what it is, I understand and I do feel used, and I think that segues into what's going on now with the FBI probe and everything else. I would think that the FBI would have a lot more to investigate, with treason in the U.S. government.
Dude,
and,
they got a shooter
terrorism.
They got a shooter right up the street from the University of Miami. It told them he was going to kill everybody in that high school. And they didn't even investigate that. And the dude walked in there and shot 17. Meanwhile, they worried about if Colin Sexton's mom and daddy got $20,000. And heck, it cost his mom and dad. How much money you think it cost your mama to come see you play at the University of Miami over a 4-year period? How much money you think she spent traveling to see you?
I couldn't even tell you.
How much money did she send you? How much cash money did she send you over a 4-year period? So when you went to Syracuse and you was in the airport, if you wanted a pretzel and a Coca-Cola, you could get one.
Right. Her and my dad did. They did a good job with maintaining, a sound quality of life.
Was it more than $20,000 in
like
4 years, though, DeQuan? Was it more than $20,000 in 4 years? More than $5,000 a year, just in expenses to keep you playing?
Absolutely. It was more than $5,000 a year.
See, that's what I'm getting at. That's what I'm getting at. If these young men got $15,000 from an agent to play, and this is what pissed me off, if they got more than $15,000 and the FBI is worried about that, then we wasting people's money. Okay, we're wasting time and That's what I was trying to get at. When you go back and you hear the show before this, you'll hear me rant and rave. And Coach Doug ain't never heard me go off like this, but it just pisses me off. It just pisses me off. It pisses me off.
Absolutely.
So I wanted to just keep it real with you, my friend, and thank you for answering those questions. Doug, what you got?
Let me just say this real quick. And I've known DeQuan for a really long time. The aspect of being used, some people feel like you gotta let somebody use you for it to take place. Sometimes it may happen, I think, when we don't know and they have ulterior motives. But one thing I try to press on my kids, if you feel like you're going to go somewhere and they're going to use you, you need to use that system to benefit you. Because that's called getting ahead of the game, And that's what has happened with basketball, the way I see it. We learn how, some of us learn how to play the game. Then all of a sudden now they're saying, oh, no, you violated rules. And I'm like, okay, but you're causing the rules to be broken. Because if a kid knows I can make $1 million in 1 year and somebody's going to just give me $100,000 for 1 year, okay, I'll take that cut, Now just remember, educators don't make over $120,000 a year at a high school level.
Unless they coach football at Buford.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I got you. That's a university. University. Yeah. But I think you used that platform at Miami to the best of your ability, and even though you were a good person, you could still see how somebody was trying to trip you up.
DeQuan, what's you guys? I mean, you've played professionally for the Orlando Magic. Like you said, you've played in Japan, Italy. You've played all over the place. You're now up in Fort Wayne, Indiana, playing with the Mad Ants. What's the guys in the locker room saying about this NCAA investigation? Well, I mean, you don't have to name names, but what are some of the stories you're hearing from these guys?
I mean, you hear different stories because a lot of guys went to different universities. On one end, you can hear one guy say, "Man, I really struggled through college. My parents did the best they could to keep it together, and my college coach wouldn't give us a soda out of his office." And then on the other hand, you hear guys that say, "Man, our coach took up the slack for our parents who couldn't provide or give us a decent quality of life." So I think it's a very broad spectrum, but we all definitely agree that NCAA basketball players, football, NCAA athletes, period, should be paid. Yes. We can all definitely agree on that.
Yep. Have you ever heard, without naming names, have you ever heard anything underhanded like we're hearing out of Arizona right now? We're talking about stuff that's in the public eye right now, but if you, without naming names of institutions or individuals or players, have you heard stories about improprieties or alleged improprieties, or do you know personally of improprieties that have happened?
No, not that I know of. And again, like the experience I've had with my case, I'm to the point now where I'm like, don't even tell me. I don't even want to know. And a lot of people don't understand the isolation you feel when cases like this are brought up, because the reality of it is the media is the fourth branch of the government, so they manipulate people to think a certain way. So you see all of these reports of and the wording that the media use, like ex-player swindles $10,000, or they try to vilify the player.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But as long as you deny student athletes the ability to secure like representation or fair market value, there's always going to be a black market. There's always going to be this type of stuff going on. But from my case, man, not only the repercussions aren't limited to just your time in college. I got a training camp deal with the Atlanta Hawks in 2015 or something like that.
Yeah.
And I got that deal with just coming in for open gym, right? Just they invited a lot of the veteran guys hadn't gotten into town yet. I live literally 10 minutes away from the facility. They called me in. I played with the guys one week. They call me in the next week. A couple of days later, they're like, "Hey, would you want to sign and come to training camp with us?" And I ended up being one of the last cuts in training camp, but they ended up taking a guy that they had drafted in the second round the year before. But the point I'm trying to make is, before I signed that deal, they called me into the office and had an interview and asked me, like, what happened with your case in Miami? Now, mind you, I had gotten cleared. I had gotten reinstated. I had proven that myself and my family had no dealings in what was alleged. But, this is years later, and it's still affecting me professionally. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And I can still pull up the article. I can still look at the details of the case, not to mention the hours of this being just interrogated by the NCAA for minuscule questions like your dad bought a pack of gum in 2006 at the BP in Arkansas. Where did he get the money for it?
Is that the kind of questions the NCAA asks? Really?
Stupid.
What?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Tell us some more about that. Tell us some more about those questions, because the average person never hears this kind of stuff, DeQuan. They don't. They hear about the end.
Sure.
Yeah, tell us what it's like to go through an NCAA interrogation.
Well, I can just walk you through the whole experience. I wake up one morning and I got like 30 missed calls. Right, my parents are calling, and of course, the first thing you think is, there's been a death in the family, an emergency, whatever. So, I call my dad back. No, I called my boy. My boy actually sent me a screenshot of the article. So I call him back. I jump up, look on my computer, and I see alleged whatever. And I call my parents. My parents, they never dealt with anything like this. I hadn't either. I'm 20 years old, whatever. And just the isolation you feel from people. Now you got a lot of outside influences having opinions on, something that hasn't even been proven yet. Your instructors, you're walking through campus and everybody's looking at you like I said, you're vilified. So then, the NCAA comes and they bring you in a room, and their whole demeanor is as if you're guilty already. Mm-hmm. So you're sitting in this room across from 4 different people. 3 people are on a conference call, and they're just badgering you like, how do you know Doug Lipscomb? Like, well, I mean, he's my high school coach. Duh. Well, has Doug Lipscomb ever bought you, dinner or lunch?
We know he took he took you to Subway for a $5 footlong. Let's just get that out of the question, because he ain't taking you to get steak. He's taking you to Subway. Okay?
I don't know, man. Coach is tight. It might have $5. I don't know. That was probably after like a conference win or something.
That's what I know. That's why I know.
That's probably like state championship worthy meal right there. But yeah, I mean, you're badgered and you're automatically, like I said, and again, luckily I had a great attorney in Jason Sessions to represent me. But you're dealing with all of that at 20 years old. You're being badgered. You're being publicly prosecuted. You know what I mean? And it's tough, but those are the type of things they ask you. Like, your dad purchased a home in 2005, and I'm like, bro, I was a sophomore. I wasn't even heavily recruited in 2005. But these are the small, little minuscule questions that they ask you, and you're just for hours and hours, like, who pays your phone bill? And I'm like, I do. And I remember one question they asked, like, what kind of car do you drive? And I was like, a 2010 Chevrolet Camaro. And he's like, one of the guys is like, how is it that you can afford a car that half of my staff can't afford to maintain or something like that? And I'm like, well, maybe your staff need to work as hard as my parents.
There you go. There you go.
So
can I ask you this question? And remember, I'm a white man,
yes,
so I can ask you this question. What was the racial makeup of the board that was asking these questions?
From my experience, there were no people of color.
Doug?
From what I've seen.
Hey, and let me just tell you this, DeQuan, okay? Just so you'll know this. I ain't a bleeding heart. You walk in my office in here, Doug, who you see pictures of me shaking hands with, in all honesty? Tell him.
Oh, the president.
The current president.
Yeah, true.
Trump.
Whatever.
Trump. You see me shaking hands with him. You see me shaking hands with Joe Biden too, though, don't you?
Yeah.
So I just keeping it real. I just want people to know what DeQuan Jones was going through, because it's like Jay Billis told us. The NCAA is a clown police. Clown police. Let's get on something more positive, DeQuan. We'll close it out. talk about your career up to this point, and you know.
Let me interject.
Okay,
right
go
here.
ahead, Doug.
When you were with the Hawks, we know how that went. But what was so amazing is that I was keeping up with you daily when you were with Indiana, and it was like we got one more cut. We make this last cut. We on the team. Hey, I'm going all in for Indiana. I'm going wherever they go. Because I'm looking at you out there with Lance.
He getting free tickets is what he's trying to say.
No, you out there with Lance.
He backstage with Boston every time they come to town. Don't fool yourself, DeQuan.
Well, that gave me somewhere else, or giving me somewhere else to go. But up to the
anywhere
last,
I am.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I come. You know
I am. Coach is good. Yeah, coach is good anywhere I'm at.
He didn't offer to come to Japan, though, did he? No.
Hey, you called me in time, I would have been there. But explain to me the feeling of how hard you work and you get to be now if I'm not mistaken, the very final cut.
Mm-hmm.
Explain to me.
I mean, Coach, you know me, man. I think it's just a testament to. It's just a testament to hard work and being dedicated to something. My parents, my mom and dad barely graduated high school. My grandmother, she dropped out of school at, in 5th grade. But and I say all that to say that looking at it from that perspective, I'm not supposed to be here. So a lot of guys get frustrated with the process of disappointment or failure. But that has been my whole life. That's all I've seen from both of my grandfathers working in textile mills to my father himself working in a steel melting plant. I would see him come home with scars and burns from just everyday work. And as a kid, that's instilled in you. So I don't get disappointed with, not making it or being on the fringe. Again, like on paper, I'm not supposed to be here, but it's just every day, like literally taking it one day at a time, one play at a time. And, I tell a lot of younger guys, understanding the concept that you have to fail your way to success. So if you have to operate on the parameters of your abilities. So, Coach, if we out here shooting and I make every shot, chances are I'm not really getting better because I'm not operating on the parameters of my abilities. I like to push myself outside of my comfort zone because that's where you truly get better and you truly progress. But, again, like it's a mindset of just coming in and understanding what you're up against and pushing through it anyway.
Yes.
So, like my whole career has been like that. My 1 year at in Orlando, I got invited to Summer League. I went undrafted, got invited to Summer League. From Summer League, I worked my way into training camp. I had a crazy training camp. I averaged like 15 points, 9 rebounds, and they ended up signing me for a year. Mm-hmm. And that year, I was on a non-guaranteed contract. So at any moment, I could have gotten cut from the team.
Mm-hmm.
But like with that mindset, a lot of people can't withstand that type of pressure or those type of circumstances. But again, that's all a testament to you and G and what you all instilled in me, at Wheeler, and you all laid that foundation. So any accomplishment or any praises I receive, Coach, you and G can take credit for that because you all laid that foundation.
Well, I appreciate that because I know why I do what I do, and why I've always done things that way. Just like you talk about your father, I feel the same way about mine. He worked his tail off, and then I seen pictures of you and your daddy fishing. And it was so good that you as a little boy, you're on a Orlando Magic tank top. And then they showed a picture of you actually accomplishing that goal in a real Orlando Magic uniform. I mean, that's priceless.
Yeah, I can resonate with you, and I can think like you, DeQuan. When you mentioned your grandmother having a 5th grade education, I think back to my own grandmother. I mean, I'm 48 years old, apartment kid from Smyrna, Georgia, but my grandmama got to the 6th grade and could count change and do long division in her head and do anything she wanted, but never had that formal education, but was probably giving me more wisdom than anybody that ever walked the face of the earth. So I appreciate that hard work and that attitude you have. Let me throw this out there, and by no means I'm wishing you short success in your pursuit of your dream to be back in the NBA or playing at the highest level you can. But what's next for DeQuan after basketball? What do you think's next?
Well, for me, me and my wife, we founded a foundation called the Dick Jones Foundation, and in all honesty, it's just me recognizing my privilege. I've been fortunate enough and blessed to have people like Coach in my life, and Dez and other coaches coming up that kind of steered me in the right direction. So my foundation is kind of my way of giving back to the youth and again, kind of bridging the gap and giving other kids who may not be interested in sports. They may want to develop an app or be a physician or something like that. So I think operating my foundation full time, and so far we have programs. We collected over, I think, 4,000 pounds in school supplies, which we donated to the Title I schools in Atlanta. I think one of them was Larry Hughes High School, Clayton County Elementary School, and I can't think of the other one. We back to school. We also have we do like Big Brother mentorship programs where we teach etiquette, financial literacy. What else? It's crazy because it always draws a blank when I have to explain it. But again, we work with Books for Africa, where we work with the Atlanta Community Food Bank and ship books to Africa. So we have a lot of community initiatives, and I think after basketball, I think that's what I'll do full time.
Okay. Well, listen, we appreciate you sharing and giving us your time, because I know you could definitely be doing something else, but we appreciate you giving us your time, and I look forward to keeping up with you, because I'm gonna stay in touch with you guys.
For sure.
DeQuan, let me say this. You know what? We may be an ant biting the butt of an elephant, because stories like this, because that $10 billion payment don't get out in the media, so to speak. You follow what I'm saying? Nobody's telling things like you've told us today, and we may be that ant that's helping get this story out. But hey, man, thanks for keeping it real today. All righty?
No problem.
Thanks for keeping
it
real.
Like I said in the beginning, thank you for the platform. I appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
Well, I'm just glad you got Coach Doug on his 15th or 16th show, because when I sat in here with him the first week, I had to pull answers out of him. Now I can't keep him from talking. You know that?
Hey.
Did you ever play him in ping pong? Is my question.
No.
Did you ever play?
No,
Coach?
I never played coach in ping pong. I think I knew better, because I think I had heard like through the grapevine, like like certain stuff, like, like don't sit down during practice and like don't play them in ping pong. I think those are like the 2 rules that circulated.
Yeah, and run off the court during a timeout.
Last question.
Yep.
Let's go back to high school.
Okay.
You lose the state by 3 points. What's coach say to you after the game?
Coach, he was just like, it was a long journey, and you all worked hard, and I think that's the thing too, is like that's an attribute that very few coaches have. Like, we had loaded teams. We had extremely loaded teams with Ari Stewart. He went to Wake Forest. Richard Howell, NC State. Taj Tate, he was a top recruit, but he went to Delaware State. Phil Taylor went to FIU. But Coach never put unneeded pressure on us. It was just like, I want you to be the best person and the best player that you could be. So when we played teams, it wasn't about the other team. It was about us. So in faces of defeat like that, Coach was just like, we tried hard. Let's get ready for the next level.
Buddy, I appreciate your time, DeQuan. We're going to keep up with you, and we're going to get you back in the off season. How's that sound?
That sounds good. Sounds good.
All right, my friend. Thank you for being a guest with us today. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All righty?
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Take care. Love you, man. Peace.
Coach, you know me personally, okay? You know I'm an NRA, card-carrying, anything but liberal. I'm very socially progressive, but conservative man, okay? What they did to DeQuan was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
What they did to and I'm going to go back to what I said. I'm not going to dwell on this a whole lot more, and I appreciate DeQuan coming out and saying this. But without shows like ours, folks not going to hear what the NCAA is actually doing. Would you agree?
No, they won't. And things like when we first started, there was a kid that was penalized for playing in the church league.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, I think it's something else more serious going on than you worrying about Timmy playing in the church league.
Timmy playing in church league, or whether Mr. Ayton got $100,000.
Yes.
Truth of the matter, he's in Arizona. Them jokers played all over the world. I would venture to say, let's see, they played in the Bahamas for 3 days that I know of. They played a Pac-10 schedule, which requires them to fly to Tacoma, Washington, Pullman, Washington, Ogden, Utah, Oregon, Sacramento, San Francisco. How many cities I just named? 7, maybe? Round trip tickets, Nick. What's round trip tickets from Phoenix to those places cost probably on average?
$400 to $500.
$400 or $500. Coach, I done talk $3,500 right there. Just go watch your son play. What's a hotel room cost you every night?
$200.
$200 in those college towns, no doubt.
Yeah.
What's food gonna cost you for 2 days? Go see your kid play, or a day? $100.
$125, yeah.
Oh, by the way, what's it gonna cost you to keep your kid in school for a year, just so they have enough money to keep a Coca-Cola or drink a Gatorade? Oh, by the way, when you go into school, you pay for parking all over the place, don't you?
Just about.
Nick, how many parking tickets did you get when you was at Alabama?
4 or 5.
4 or 5. How much was the fine each time?
$25.
$25. How much is a Coke in a Coke machine at a college or university?
$1.25.
$1.25. Pack of crackers.
$1.
Are we counting up a bunch of money, Coach?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, to eat in the food court. Say you don't want what's in the cafeteria that day. So you want to go to the food court and get you a hamburger. What's it called?
$10 to $12.
Bingo.
Oh, it's money to be made, no doubt.
Anyway, we need to leave that alone. Everybody knows how we feel. Coach, I appreciate you getting DeQuan to be with us. That was a good show today.
Yeah, he's one of my favorite kids. I mean, work ethic without a question, no doubt.
Here's what I like about him. Here's what I like about it. And I know this has been one of our longest shows, and if you've been with us the whole time, we appreciate it. Here's what I love about it. DeQuan spent 4 years in college. Senior year, goes through this NCAA thing, keeps on, makes the magic. For the next 5 years, he's trying to make the NBA last cut each time, but he's never given up. I asked the man, I said, DeQuan, what are you going to do? And I've never met DeQuan, and I hopefully I'll meet him because he's the kind of guy I'd love to get to know. I asked DeQuan, I said, DeQuan, what are you going to do when you retire? When your basketball career plan's over? You know what he said, Coach? He didn't say, I'm going to buy me this, I'm going to do this business, I'm going to do that business. He said, I'm going to give back. I'm going to give back. Not just in the basketball world, but I want to help kids develop apps. I want to help kids with music. That's saying something.
Yes, it is.
That's saying something. Coach, it's been fun, my friend. What do you, in closing, what do you think is going to happen this week with this NCAA thing? What else are we going to hear? Anything?
Well, I tried to, look at some things, and I think they just wanted to give us a little tip of the iceberg when they were messing with the coach, or they brought this out about the coach from Arizona. I think now they've got to move forward and get another big name, because you done kicked all the basically the little.
Patino's gone. Sean Miller's gone now. Yeah. Who's next?
That's a very good question. But remember, and then, okay, they're naming these programs, right? They named Wendell.
Yep.
And then, of course, they went back to Collin, which is doesn't make much sense. So that takes care of Alabama and Duke. I can't see them doing anything in the world to Coach K at all.
Let me ask you this. Here's what I'm wondering. If Coach K, would it shock you if Coach K retired on his own this year?
Well, I hope he doesn't, because, look at the class that he just got to come there.
I
love it. I love it.
It's an awesome class, but think about it is, Coach, you and I know. Okay, let's just keep it real. Something got them three kids there, and it wasn't because they all like play AU basketball together, and they was all friends, because we all just buddies, and we all just going, I'm from Canada, and you from New Jersey, you from South Carolina, we just friends. We all just going to go to Duke. Let's just, something, they say, you know this. When it walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, what is it generally?
This is duck, but I'm going to tell you like this. Well, that duck is well hidden.
Exactly right.
Okay, so,
I could go off without. Now, see, here's the difference between me and you. You know names. You know more a lot of times than what you ever let on. And I appreciate that. Sometimes it's hard for me because I hear this stuff, and I hear it firsthand from doing this show and from interviews outside this show. And I ain't silly. I see what goes on in the business world just in the advertising side. So I know what's going on the tennis shoe side business. So I can only imagine when it's supposed to be free. We get this kid to come play for us. All we got to do is give him a college scholarship. And he's 7'1", and he's going to come play for us, and he dominates the game as a freshman. Oh, but by the way, he could be the top pick in the NBA, but we can't let him play because that'd be wrong to let him go straight because that interferes with his livelihood, and he needs that college grooming. Oh, boy, needs that college grooming to get right. But, come on.
They don't.
They know. Coach, it's been fun. It's been fun. I hope I ain't embarrassed you.
No, hey, man, we keeping it real.
Just talking like it is. And, hey, it is what it is. Thanks again for DeQuan Jones for being a guest today on the Carriage Automotive Group line. Thanks for Nick Paparelli for producing. If you like a show like this, check us out. We've got quite a few episodes out there that you can always find us on your Apple podcast or your SoundCloud or wherever you find your favorite podcast. You can listen to us. Real Life Basketball is a production of BG Ad Group Network and BG Podcast Network. Nick, am I missing anything?
Thanks to Julio Jones Kia.
Thanks to Julio Jones Kia for making us a part of it.
No.
Got to meet Julio the other day, didn't you, Doug?
It was great.
It was fun, wasn't it?
Yeah, very humble man.
We need to get Julio on the show.
Oh, yeah.
Julio don't talk much, though. He very shy fella.
That's why he got the Migos with it.
That's under Miko. I'll tell you a little bit more off the air about that. Oh, man, it's been good. We'll talk to you next week right here on Real Life Basketball.
Thanks.